on children. You
Right.
have to say the effect on
Children's health.
or children's respiratory health, or
So you need me to buy you a burrito and a beer and help you with this, is that what you're saying?
we got Dixon Ranch coming up on Thursday. I tell
Exactly.
you, man, we're just being bombarded
Yeah.
right now with these.
John, is this something we can do, do you think?
We can, if you have the basic categories, we can help you write the questions
I mean,
properly.
I'm really afraid I'm writing questions that they're gonna go like, yeah, we've already explained that to EIR.
Before you leave that, I wanted to add something.
Okay.
One thing that Tom repeated many times, that the purpose of CEQA is to inform the public debate. It is their job to make that document understandable to you. So asking for clarification wherever and whenever, do it all the time.
Okay.
It's totally
Right.
good. If you read it, don't say, oh, I don't know what that is, I don't know what to say about it. It's like, okay, I don't know what to say, I don't understand this.
But we don't have to research that ad nauseam. We could just ask that question specifically and let them.
Please explain this
It's like, I don't
paragraph.
understand this.
But the other thing is they'll use different references that give you different conclusions that are totally inconsistent.
Okay, so that you can.
And then you
just
say,
say,
well, how can you
"Noticing
conclude
there's
that
an
here, where over here you
inconsistency
conclude
here.
that?"
Could you please analyze and explain that?
Right.
Okay, good.
No, I was gonna say this DEIR is so big and so complex.
Oh, yeah.
That it should be divided up between people, between groups. And those groups should take a look at certain aspects of this DEIR and work only on those particular aspects. Otherwise, we're gonna get lost in the weeds here.
And that's typically what's been done. You find people who are willing to volunteer to do a particular section under CEQA, right? Traffic, circulation, air pollution, air quality, whatever you want to call it. So you find people willing to do those things who have some level of knowledge and interest, hopefully, that'll really do it. Because a lot of people, when they first get involved, they'll volunteer to look at something rather, then they really start reading and they go, I don't know anything about this. I don't even understand what they're saying here.
Thank you very much. I'm there.
It's extremely difficult, first time around, to comprehend what's really going on here.
And looking at some of the documents that have been done, it's even just the way some of the questions were phrased, like this one, which is posted online because it's posted as a public comment for this project. So you can
So
get
that's
a
a
copy.
resource we can use.
Yeah,
So how
so
is it
you can
worded?
like flip through it and say, oh, what did they ask about whatever? How did they phrase that question? Sometimes that's helpful, having an example.
So how do we find that document?
We'll make a copy available here too.
It's under the TGP.
I like your words, Don. Please show, please provide, please
Analyze, right.
That's a golden nugget right there.
And I wouldn't say please.
Well, you're right.
You don't have to.
I think you'll get a better response probably.
It doesn't hurt. Well,
Doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, you're right.
What we have found is, and Tom kind of told us,
Oh, okay.
you want to look like the adults in the room initially.
And if you don't.
And so, because when the judge is looking at all this stuff, if you're seen as the adults saying, being polite and all this stuff,
Right.
and the county comes back, in fact, they gave us some very dismissive and rude answers in some of these, And so, Your Honor, I was just asking this question and look at this answer.
That plays in your favor, right?
So, okay, next. Let's see, we talked a little bit about
Alternatives.
alternatives. I don't know that we need to go any more on that one. Impacts, typically they'll categorize impacts in the EIR as not significant, but insignificant and unavoidable. And
Air quality, they said it's unavoidable.
so.
Yeah, unavoidable or not significant, those two, that's it.
Right, and so
Yeah.
most of the time they're relying on these also. These impacts are very subjective, of course, also, right? And the way to try to nail them down on this is to be quantitative, please provide me with the number of, car trips per day that, or the
Very
amount
good.
of particulate matter that is, created by this, so you
And the
Try-
storms.
and try to nail them down to specifics, because a lot of times they really waffle on that. If you think it's wrong, the best thing is if you can gather some evidence from papers, articles, other EIRs, that kind of thing. It's very time consuming to do that. You may not have the time to do that. So even if you don't have the time to go do that, make sure you at least ask them to provide supporting evidence for their claim.
And you're gonna give us copies of these slides?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And make sure, any articles and papers and such that you do use in writing your comments, make sure those get submitted along with your comments. They have to be part of this public record. Mitigations are another huge area. The project has to be
Great.
made in such a way that the mitigations have to be in place before the project. Because it doesn't do any good to say, oh, we'll come up with some mitigations once the project is done. No. They may not be able to mitigate it. So they have to have very clear mitigation steps. We ran into this in this document, general plan update. Self-enforcement is not a reasonable mitigation. So they have proposed that we're gonna allow all this loud music and everything, but don't worry, it won't get too loud because we're gonna have it self-enforced.
Keep it down, guys.
Yeah. We'll have the director of planning determine when the oak trees need to be replanted after they all die, because he's the expert in that area, right? So, yeah.
All right, so like, to take actually to that very point, when they said in this report that they would, circle the oak trees that are gonna be saved, and then once a month, someone from an environmental group is gonna come by to make sure that the barriers are still in place and that the workers haven't dumped anything. That's almost self-enforcement, right? Because it's only once a month. I mean, so you could ask, who are they hiring or what company is gonna do this? I mean, they say they're gonna hire a company. Can you say which company, and can you say that once a month is not enough? Because if it happens on day 2 after the inspector came and it doesn't come for 30 days, the damage has already been done for 30 days. I mean, is that the type of thing you're going for?
You can try that, but that may be just an assertion on your part that once a month isn't enough, right?
So if he backs it with, oak trees need the following kind of regimen of water, da-da-da-da, and
Or,
then over a period of time, and he has an article?
or an article that says during construction, oak tree debris must be cleared out weekly, or,
Okay.
something to support
How
your.
do other
Some
counties-
standards that maybe Sacramento County or somebody else is using can be brought into play because they've determined this to be effective. Why can't we do the same thing, as opposed to just waving our arms at it? So,
Or the UC Davis Arboration Center says A, B, C.
Exactly. Yep. So if you go to, some kind of a collegiate level, university level finding or something, Davis is excellent reference. You can get
If
it.
you see this one a lot too, where they'll say, oh, we're gonna mitigate this by doing X, Y, Z, and that isn't going to take care of the problem. So you have to ask for the facts, please provide the evidence that shows that mitigation is effective for such and such.
About where has this been successful? Has this been used
Okay.
successfully?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
Or
another-
show someplace where it wasn't used successfully.
Please show where.
In other
Santa
words,
Cruz did this
we're
and it failed.
we're
totally.
asking for proof. I mean, we want proof
Yep.
of where you've come
Yep.
up with this.
But don't call it proof, you have to call it
No,
evidence.
I know.
Right, right.
Yes.
Don't be obvious in what you want, right?
You're looking for the documentation
Exactly.
of the numbers, not just,
No, yeah,
Yeah.
no. Proof is too open, I
If you
understand.
can think of a better mitigation, propose that mitigation and ask them to evaluate that.
Right.
Oh, okay, good.
The county track record of mitigation enforcement is dismal.
We don't really do.
We have one code enforcement officer part-time for the entire county. And again, if you can collect,
Okay,
we've always meant to do this, but we just didn't have time. Tom suggested, for instance, call Placer County, call Amador County, find out how many code enforcement officials they have in their population. We know we have one official here for 180,000 people. Okay, what's the ratio of code enforcement officers per capita? So any examples you have of enforcement, it would be great. Deferral of mitigation, CEQA only allows that when 3 things are done. Specific standard is set, such as, okay, we know we have to achieve 68 decibels, or we know that we have to be a level of service E, and that they provide the means of mitigating it and measuring it. And there's an actual commitment, and this is where our county always fails, is in that
Right.
third
Does the mitigation get written into, I believe once is that if this is approved or whatever is approved,
Right.
they will have to, the developer will have to enter into a contract with the county, right? A development contract or a build-out
Development
contract?
agreement.
A what?
A development agreement, if
A
that's
development
imposed,
agreement.
but it doesn't have to be imposed.
Typically, they might be written into the conditions of approval for the
Right.
project. And so, you know, okay, you can do this project, but here are 12 conditions of approval, you have to meet these.
But if you get a lot of conditions of approval, it's almost better to go to a development agreement that gets more specific and all of those things being enumerated in one document, as opposed to in a list of conditions.
And is that, obviously, that's an agreement between the developer and the county.
Right.
Do we as a public get a comment on that agreement, or is it done at the county council level where it's all?
By making the comments in the draft EIR, you can impose or suggest the fact that it should be part of a development agreement to make sure the development, sustains what they're promising here, da-da-da-da-da-da.
So that
So-
would be in our comments here.
But generally, the development agreements are not the best solution to that. Ellen can comment on that too, but a lot of times the developer uses it to their advantage if you're not careful of what goes in the development agreement. You want certain things and they add a bunch of other stuff, right?
Yeah, they usually give you the answers on a month-by-month basis, and then the county looks at it and says, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they check it out.
So again, the enforcement is something you're dependent upon, so
Is there a development agreement on this project?
not that I know of.
The development agreement is something that can expire. It is not the same as conditions of approval. Usually it is an exchange. They only do a development agreement to get something extra for that project. It is, you will do these extra road improvements if,
If we give you X more houses
Yeah,
or
so there's-
something like that.
it's more of a contract that the county has where they're trying to get something out of it. Like I think with Parker, it had something to do with parks or probably the interchange. I mean, there are things that they get out of that development agreement.
Right.
It's a bonus thing. and
So it's
a little
better to
different than
get
the
what?
conditions. It's just different than the conditions.
Like the Silver Valley interchange, right?
Yeah. It is different than the conditions of approval.
Which
So
Parker
conditions
was
of
supposed to pay
approval
for
is-
it.
Exactly. So yeah,
Which they
They're
did.
just different.
So
One's a
so-
contract, one of those.
the standard practice would likely be conditions of approval in the project for these mitigations.
We're an attorney at that point, I mean, aren't we gonna be working with an attorney? Do you?
Well, we only have.
we don't have anybody on except
Wayne.
Wayne. I mean, right now we've got Wayne as our representative attorney, and we can.
He's working
Well, okay,
for-
and Tim is too. So we have two attorneys on board. So that's excellent.
This is not anything close to my area, but.
What is your practice normally in?
I mean,
What?
What is your normal practice in?
When I was working, it was finance, international finance, joint ventures.
Okay.
A lot of international stuff.
Gotcha.
So way different than land use, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, a lot of the stuff,
Sure.
and analysis and stuff is the same.
right.
Documentation, very important, in two regards. One is, again, when they make an assertion in the draft EIR, you ask them for the name of the document, the page number, the paragraph. They have to tell you exactly and include in, bibliography essentially where their assertion came from or their claim. And so they can't just say, Caltrans says such and such. No, they have to give you the actual document, paragraph, the dates, enough to identify the document. And then, in the reverse sense also, I mentioned this already, any document you rely on, make sure that we include them in.
But wouldn't the Highway 50 comments for this particular project in terms of impacts be very similar to what you did for the TGPA ZOU from the standpoint of Caltrans' current position and?
Hopefully, and I will give you my traffic comments from this project, and you're free to do with them
Okay.
as you will. I think
Because I would think a lot of it would be very
much
similar.
of it will apply. I give some examples of where the CIP, these projects slip out in time every year,
Right.
and so they just never get implemented. And so the CIP is not an effective mitigation.
Right.
You've got to tweak those comments to fit.
So after you submit all your comments and it goes away for several months while they invent all these lies, they will come out with the final EIR. And then you will have only a little bit of time before a planning commission hearing. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be a 10-day gap. The minimum it has to be available is 10 days. And that's what they did on Dixon Ranch. They put out the final EIR commission meeting. So read through the answers they provide to your questions. And this is one thing that Tom had suggested, a kind of a spreadsheet, write up, you know, how many of your questions did they not answer at all, which is very frequent. They just won't even answer the question. Or they give a vague answer or not in the expected detail. You know, you wrote a long, detailed question and they blew you off essentially. We see this too, where you ask a question and they kind of answer a different question.
Right.
You know, you ask this detailed question about the CIP and they say, the CIP is a wonderful mechanism for doing propaganda, assertions without evidence again. And
So what's the impact of that? Is it,
so this
That's-
doesn't have to be done right away, but it has to be done before the board approves the project. This is more to go in the public record again to show that your questions were not answered sufficiently in the draft.
so what do they do with your comments about the unanswered questions?
The county won't do anything with it. This is,
whole
again,
purpose
part of your legal case to show the judge that
Okay,
look, these guys, they only answered 37% of our questions and the rest of them, you know, weren't answered in appropriate detail, and et cetera, et cetera.
Now, if you can get them to do just what you want with the project, you won't need any of that,
Right.
you know, because maybe it won't go to court, maybe you won't have to.
Has that ever happened? In El Dorado County?
Not that I know.
I was gonna say, I don't remember one.
We've seen Jesus.
It might happen now if the consultants are doing all of the work, then the consultants will just answer the questions. And push it to the,
Well, but they'll do the same lousy job of answering the questions.
Oh.
Again, they'll give evasive answers
so
and
they're not,
non-answers.
okay,
Yeah.
potentially.
Because it just makes for full employment for the consultants too, because when you take them to court, the county or the developer then has to pay the consultant to come along and testify and
Right.
do all this. So, you know, it's this big gravy train for the environmental consultants and the attorneys and everybody else involved, right?
Thank you.
Here's an example just from the TGPA general plan, the way that they make numbers deceptive. So take Green Valley Road. You know, commuter traffic is usually heavy one direction in the morning and heavy the other direction in the evening. Well, what they did is they combined the numbers and averaged it and said, oh, Green Valley Road is level of service C because the capacity of this road is X cars. Well, really it's level of service F in the commute direction and level of service A in the non-commute direction. So that's one way they cheat. The other thing.
And they don't deal with the intersections, so you don't see the amount of stack up at the intersections in the
Right.
commute direction.
They didn't measure traffic at intersections or interchanges. Well, Measure Y requires them to measure traffic at intersections and interchanges. In looking at the little chart, you know, there were hundreds of these road segments that were supposedly analyzed. I noticed some of the key segments, like the segment underneath the overpass here, and a few other segments just were missing from the table, you know. And when I asked for them, they didn't even respond to that. They just continued to not list those road segments. Again, we talked about them ignoring Caltrans data, you know, asserting their measurements are more accurate. Well, Caltrans data, they have coils in the pavement that count
So
the
they know.
cars as they go by. Caltrans knows exactly how many cars are going by. So to claim that their measurements are, well, in fact, the county doesn't have a way to measure traffic on Highway 50. CIP projects are supposed to mitigate the impact of additional housing. You know, the TIM fees, whenever a new house is built, transportation impact mitigation fee is paid. It's supposed to go toward these improvements in the roadway. But unfortunately, as we've seen, these improvements to the roadway get pushed out 10, 20, 30 years, or maybe never happen. And so we end up with these substandard roads and we just keep building houses. That kind of covers all those elements there. Let's see, I didn't have, It's just kind of an interesting tool, and if you're interested in safety, I kind of printed out, these are all the CHP reported accidents. That's Highway 50, here's El Dorado Hills Boulevard, and you can get different severities of the accidents, all those kinds of things. The tool you can get here, you have to sign up for an account, but it's free. And let's see, I guess that's all I had for now. I know it's a lot of stuff. Any,
But very helpful.
and we'll get you copies of the slides and Tom's document on, more details.
William, what do I need to get, what do I need to recently give me to put to download? What do you call it, a
Last
zip
night, I
drive?
happened to ask how
It's a little skinny.
the Silver
right?
Valley exchange got approved, because that's
Thumb
why
drives are
I
for
wanted
friends.
to get
Thumb drives.
Okay, 'cause I was
Can we have one-
Download
Off the
pictures
freeway
on that, what's
pass.
that called? Is that a zip drive?
all of them.
Is it about that long?
You know,
Yeah.
It's a thumb drive, that's what they call it.
And,
Zip drive is actually.
Can we have one
I
conversation?
mean, or they didn't want to answer me, but I didn't know how to phrase the question to get the answer. And how did that one come about? Because my fear is that no matter what we do, if that one got approved, when it was so obvious that this was going to really impact kids and the environment and the exhaust, which is leading, to Green Valley, approving more homes back there.
I actually think that's really easy. No one protesting.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
what I was thinking.
That's it.
And that's, we see that a lot, especially
Okay.
El Dorado Hills.
Right.
El Dorado Hills, Cameron Park, Chicken Springs, is kind of in this vacuum.
Okay.
And where they associate a little more with Sacramento County, Folsom and that kind of direction. And so newspapers, Mountain Democrat, nobody down here gets Mountain Democrat for the most part.
I do.
Well, we do.
There are a few people, right?
Yeah, we do too, just to
Okay.
keep up on this stuff.
You know what's gonna happen between El Dorado Hills and the county line? I understand there's another project going in there to extend
Saratoga.
that
They're gonna
Saratoga.
state-
What's the status of that? It's on some information.
They're about to come out with their draft.
Next
EIR.
month is what they told us.
What's that impact? Well, I wanna see it go in because I wanna see Saratoga put all the way down.
But wait
The
a
only way it's
minute,
gonna go is
yeah.
go down to Iron Point, but, yeah, in my
Wayne, what the
lifetime.
developer said though was,
Well,
he would pay his fair share to
Yeah.
run Saratoga through, and then he
Well-
would wanna be reimbursed.
yeah.
So our board of supervisors think they're paying for all of Saratoga, which they're
No,
not.
no, the board of supervisors said he had to put 2 lanes, 1 lane in each direction. That's the agreement that I understand. That isn't gonna be enough, so the county's gonna be responsible for putting in the other 2 lanes.
More money,
So
right.
it's still screwed up.
Well,
I love this guy.
but I started, let me complete my thought here a little bit. We're kind of isolated down here,
Right.
The county is very Placerville centric, and so, they really do just want to dump all the crap down here, keep the rest of the county rural, and they never hear complaints, or they hear very few people complaining, and so what needs to happen is more people need to get involved and aware of this and start making more noise up the hill, so that we have more influence,
We also need somebody who represents our community, and unfortunately, right now, we don't have a supervisor who does that. Nothing, zilch.
You're missing a piece here because Save Our County, which is the other end of the county, has already joined. They don't want to see all of this development because it's going to impinge on their water rights, it's going to impinge on their land. And they have already put up $20,000 for the lawyer that's going to sue for the apartments.
Right.
And we really have to approach these people and work with these people because it's kind of unique that 2 parts of the county are finally coming together.
We talk to them several times a week, actually.
So really cannot discount.
Talk about Sue and Lori primarily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we talk to them several times a week. They know what we're doing, we know what they're doing. But I think the important part though is to inform people in our community because people don't know about this stuff or don't care or.
We've informed and informed and informed. I mean, haven't we informed? I mean, am I
Yeah.
missing
Well,
something?
when Oak Ridge High School had the asbestos issue, right?
Yeah.
People got informed, they got involved because it was high school students And they had the meeting, I think, down at the gymnasium, if I remember right.
I wasn't here, I just read about that, but I mean,
But that
we're
was a
on
big event.
Nextdoor, I'm on Serrano Forum, I'm on Debating El Dorado Politics. Where else are we?
Well, let's take an example, Dixon Ranch,
Mhm.
605 homes on Green Valley Road.
Mhm.
How many know about that? Oh, you guys are good, all right.
I got it in the email, I tried to help you
Yeah,
guys.
So
What
it's,
are you gonna do with that?
you know, we're,
Another employment program for attorneys.
our planning commissioner and our supervisor for our district they have to recuse themselves on this vote. So that leaves 4 supervisors.
Because of where their residences are, where they live, that's what the
Yes.
issue
Right.
is. They're
Right.
too close proximity. In fact, I guess in mixed case, there may be an economic thing involved,
Definitely.
a right of way involved.
Right,
Across his property if it goes that direction.
and
So how
so,
many have been disqualified now? I only saw the one.
Just
Both
as
from
one
this-
guy.
so our supervisor and our commissioner from District 1 are
Yeah, I
disqualified.
saw that.
So
So-
we have no representation.
So our only representation is out of our district.
And
No.
they all want it here.
Well,
Here, be in this location.
Eldorado?
Shiva Princeton in District 2 is likely will vote our way against the project. But the other 3 board members, now I know Mike Rinaldi has said he will vote against it, I don't believe him. But,
I don't believe what they say either, so.
yeah.
How does the recall,
What's the
what's the sequence with the recall, and will the recall affect anything they approve while they're under the recall? No?
No.
No? Okay.
You know, the recall I see is more just kind of a political pressure on them. I don't, first of all, I don't think, you know,
You
the
don't believe
recall
so,
people
yeah.
will get enough
No.
signatures to make that happen. And
Nick told me
faster.
nobody's ever been successful, you need 10,000 signatures
No.
or something like that.
No.
4,300.
You only need
First-
300 signatures.
Yeah.
4,000.
4,300.
Why would I believe them, right? Okay, got it.
The
So,
only successful recall in this county was when the CSD board was recalled, which I was a part of.
Right.
You know,
so, well, my opinion is that's just political pressure on the supervisors. I don't know if it'll be effective or not. The thing with Dixon Ranch is we have planning commissioners and supervisors that are out of our district voting on this big project that they just don't care. They would like to have all the tax revenue. So to them, sure, jam it in, you know. And you think, Dixon Ranch will add 50% more traffic on Green Valley Road. Imagine Green Valley
But
Road.
the Green Valley traffic analysis, the county did, it was a special study, defined certain intersections and stuff, are already level service F. So how can the developer take a position contrary to that and says there's no impact on level of service? They've got to worsen what's already there.
Yeah.
So that's documentation.
Traffic would get better, not
Yes, they said traffic would get better.
with 600 homes.
Cutting across on Appian Way or something, is that what they're
No,
talking
they
about?
said because they're putting in a traffic signal at the exit to the entrance to Dixon Ranch, the traffic on Green Valley Road will be better, even though it'll have 50% more cars. I don't know how that works.
Doesn't work around the school, though, I'll tell you that. Pleasant Grove School or whatever,
Right.
that's a nightmare every afternoon about 2:00.
They also say there's no aesthetic impact, you know, you're taking this 280 acres of prime vineyard land that's being grazed with cattle and stuff now and putting 600 homes on it, but there's no aesthetic impact.
It's just amazing.
It is.
There's
amazing,
also,
actually.
oh, they're being sensitive to the oak tree environment, even though they'll be removing 47% of the oak trees on the property. You know, and so, you know, it's just, we need to cause an uproar in the county. We need to have hundreds of people going up there and telling the board and planning commission this is not acceptable.
What date is this again, December 7th?
December 10th. 10th is the.
It's Thursday,
Planning
it's the
commission.
planning commission meeting on Thursday, December 10th.
At what time and where?
Starts at 8:30, but this comes up probably about 9 because I've got business. This is the last thing on the agenda, but it's not time specific.
Second or third,
I think it's, the-
meeting starts at 8:30, it's the
Right.
second or third item.
right, I think it's the third item, but I think that's the last thing on the agenda,
That'll be 9 o'clock.
unless they've amended it again.
Yeah, it's gonna be 9 or 9:30 probably.
And we did get a
Right, this
notice,
is where it's.
a mail
Yeah,
notice
it's
that the hearing
Placerville,
was gonna happen,
um,
and I don't know why. We got it, Jim didn't get it in his section, but we got it down in our section because maybe we're closer to Green Valley. But, I mean, they didn't give you a lot of days. I mean, we got it last week and the
Right.
hearing's on the 10th, so.
Well, my wife and I live in Green Springs Ranch, which is all 5 acre, we have 7 acres, and it's backing up to Dixon Ranch. And so they're gonna have these 6,000 square foot lots lined up at the end of our 5 acre lots, you know, with concrete block walls. And every Friday, 600 leaf blowers are gonna turn on, you know, it's just, yeah.
I just can't imagine anyone thinks that that plan is okay.
Right.
And yet, will anybody stand up and oppose it? You know, it's.
Other than the few residents in our, development.
How many people do you expect will represent you in terms of residents at this meeting?
I do not know, the Highlands neighborhood, as soon as they said that anyone was not going to be open, the HOA stepped down. You know, they stepped back and said, oh, we're good with it, we don't really care about.
Because it's not going to affect us.
Yeah, and so I went to them and I said, all right, if it's a
Board supervisors.
they're gonna open
This is
drive down. So it's in their business to join us and say,
Elections, everything else is down building C, except for building C, just let it go down the hill.
So you're trying to get a reduction in units, that's, yeah, from 600 to what?
Yeah, so that
oh
we
my
should,
gosh,
we should ask.
that's too much. You know what it's about right now? It's minimum 20 acre parcels, 280 acres, so what's that? 20.
The most they could build there today is 24 homes.
Right, no, let's, you know, this is interesting, let's get to ours for a second.
You guys
I think there's 14 issues that the draft EIR addresses. It addresses, and you know, if someone has an interest in one, take a note.
Okay.
Air quality,
Right.
biological resources, or biology resources, cultural resources, geology, soils and minerals, greenhouse gases, hazards and hazardous materials,
Yeah, I'll take that.
water, hydrology, water quality, water resources, land use. What else?
Circulation.
Traffic and circulation is the big one. It also has, housing, you know, and public services and housing.
Right.
My parents.
You know, I'm gonna, just to get us, you know, once you send us this email, maybe Jim, are you gonna get it to Jim, and Jim, are you the point person?
I don't want to be the point person. I'm pointed out.
If I have everybody's email,
If Jim
Pardon?
sends it to you,
yeah.
can you get it, that would be the best thing to do.
Okay.
You know, I'm gonna take a look only because I think it's a
I
relatively
can
short one,
blitz it
the
out.
cultural one, because I think it's got some very specific issues that I can at least look at it based on the guidelines you've given us to how to analyze it and see what they want us to do, just to get my head around it.
Okay.
But we have to, you know, that's a start. But,
Number blood on the floor.
yeah, blood on the
And so
floor.
we're talking.
Maybe it's a red-tailed lizard, but maybe that, or the frog or whatever it is, but, you know.
That would be biological resources.
Okay, go ahead.
So what, you know, I think honestly, the important things would be, unfortunately, aesthetics are usually overlooked. So, and it's hard to claim blood on the floor with aesthetics.
The aesthetics basically are gonna do everything in bland colors that are gonna blend in with the brown and
Aesthetics
tan
sounds so
grasses.
subjective that it's very difficult to drive an anchor in the ground on it.
Then you paint them certain, paint
So,
the houses certain
just
colors and add
natural.
grasses.
There you go, natural grass.
Go ahead.
You need to hit air quality.
Yep.
Okay,
I'm not sure bioresource is gonna help you much, because, you know, there aren't many oak trees there right now.
I don't know, I think if they're, Serrano's a little tricky, if they are transferring, they're taking some area out of the existing specific plan and combining it with the other, doesn't that leave them vulnerable to having to relook at what they're doing in the existing general plan?
Possibly.
And a specific plan, and then, you know, where are they at with their mitigations right now? They were required to do a certain number, a certain amount of mitigating, have they done that? And by now transferring that, what happens? I mean,
Right, that whole
I think
transfer
that-
density thing is.
yeah, I think that's all worth looking
I
at.
asked the question last night, about asbestos ridge. I mean, I'm new to all this, so
Yeah.
if you all know this, then that's fine. But I asked the question to Mr. Bone and the county, and I'm not sure who I talked to, I wasn't good enough to see, but I asked the question of both of them, is that you really can't exchange something that is non-usable. I mean, it's really definitely non-usable. So in trying to say that they're exchanging
Right.
asbestos ridge for this, it really is, it's a false promise. I mean, it looks good on paper. Oh, well, you're still gonna have that as open space, but it's not usable open space because nobody's gonna walk up there, nobody's gonna do anything up there. It's really not. So I now know how to ask the question to
Right.
try to frame that, which I didn't last night because it was another, everything I asked was a dodge and switch, you know, I mean, and so to me, I think that that is really an important issue that we should incorporate, you know, somehow in the idea that they're going to switch these properties
Right.
and have them thought as, where's the documentation that you think these are like kind, that you're gonna exchange this development?
Biological hazard
Right,
for
It's not-
density transfer into
It's
another
really-
area.
it's dead space. I mean, it really is dead,
Yeah,
it's not
but-
gonna be open space, but
Well,
they're
it has,
gonna get it
it has
through.
an aesthetic value, but it doesn't have any value to the public.
Exactly,
Wildlife may love it and stuff, but it's a fire hazard for the most part, particularly when it's located up between sections of
Houses.
development. It's just right there. Who maintains it, for instance,
Right.
in terms
I
of
think the
weed abatement?
reality is,
Well, like
the
all
reality,
right,
Yeah,
And then it's not pretty.
right.
the reality is that they've already got these answers already figured out, and they've
Okay.
changed some documentation in their
Right.
CEQA and all this to their
Right.
favor. I mean, they've been working on this. So they're ready to
To do it that.
to poo-poo anything that we say.
Well,
It just boggles
yes-
my
yes
mind,
and
you
no.
know?
A lot of times, they haven't thought that far ahead to the final EIR responses, because most of the time, they don't have to answer these
Yeah, they
questions.
think you're gonna blow them up.
90% of the time, 95% of the time, they never get questions on the EIR.
Right.
Yeah, but you know, and I don't disagree with you, but I think asbestos is such a hot topic that they're preparing to have all of the documentation out there set up so that it's not a big deal.
It's
But what section would that question come under?
hazards and hazardous
Biological.
materials.
Also air quality.
air
Yeah,
quality.
that's, okay, here.
I
Yeah,
can
'cause-
tell you about, God, when I first moved here 11 or 12 years ago, he wanted to build on asbestos ridge, and I just went out of interest, and they had lawyers on the phones, and he he wanted to build like 100 homes on it, and that died real quick when the
Yeah.
lawyers said, oh, okay, you're gonna do this and that. So
Who
highly
got lawyers on
unlikely,
the phone?
he's basically threatening us with, if you don't let me build on the golf course, then I'm gonna build up there. Go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
he's not
Yeah,
gonna be
he
able to.
can't, I mean, that's what, I think that's my point is, he knows he can't do it. I mean, nowhere is anybody gonna bypass safety regulations, if you will. We would hope. Oh, yeah,
So-
they're already, you know what,
I
that's.
the
think
county has a policy that allows you to
I know.
build on asbestos-laden
Right.
ground.
Yeah,
Yeah, how could you say
So
that
that's what he's
when
gonna
Yeah,
follow.
the
yeah,
whole
get-
football
get-
field
get-
at
get-
Oak
get
Ridge
my-
We used to
was
call the
full of
Dutch
asbestos.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
They let
didn't
him
know
redo
that.
Yeah,
I
well,
didn't know.
last night he told me, he said, asbestos, some of those are dangerous. In other words, there are classes of asbestos that we can go ahead and not even be concerned about.
Well, we're not concerned about it until the dirt
Well,
gets moved, that's
yeah.
when it's bad.
Well,
So-
well, there, yeah.
So in terms of answering questions, yes, you want to address that, and it does fall under both air quality and hazardous
Okay.
materials. Again, I think aesthetics is a low
Low impact, yeah.
low payback. Ag resources, no
Yes.
payback. Bioresources, maybe. Geology and soils, I don't. I
They
think-
kind of are what they are,
Yeah.
you know.
Greenhouse gases, the problem here is nobody knows enough about that typically in the general public to make informed comments on greenhouse gases.
We can incorporate that kind of under air quality anyway. The air quality is the issue with respect to emissions on the highway vehicles and
Well,
those kinds of
water's
things.
very
Water's very important,
Very
traffic's very
important.
important.
there are some state rules around mitigating greenhouse gas emissions, and the problem is they're complicated, and, we don't have anybody in our
Right.
group that understands all
Okay.
that stuff. Hydrology and water quality, more of an issue is water supply. So, you know, this is that bait and switch operation where they get approved, oh, EID gives them all these meters, now EID goes, you know, we have to go acquire new water, water rights and water infrastructure and all this stuff.
Which they might not be able to get.
Right. Are they gonna be on recycled water? You know, that's another question to ask. Will it be recycled water?
That's why it's such a good
Just
spot
quick-
for
Has anyone ever, because I haven't done it, the carbon credits that we just got through putting in this place, has anyone found out if they're even applicable to the development project? Because to do something, you gotta buy your credits, and
Oh.
they have, I guess, I'm gonna ask a question.
Okay.
Would you answer this
Okay.
about the carbon credits?
That's a
Do
good
you have- Are you required to buy any?
I
And
don't,
if not, explain why, and if yes, what are you doing?
right.
Okay.
It's a good question
That's
for
the
the,
question.
It is.
yeah.
Well, I love also public safety, where you go, oh, you're gonna add 10,000 homes. We have one sheriff's officer that'll handle everything. We don't need any more police or firemen or anything like that. How do they get around that?
Right.
It's a good question.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you have to phrase it correctly. Please show,
Right.
how,
They did a great report.
The answer is they do crime statistics.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean,
statistics in Eldorado Hills are
there
the
must be
lowest just about anywhere else in
some
the county, with the exception
formula
of
for
Campbell Park.
Not
number
gonna,
of
it's
police,
gonna work, though, it's never gonna
number
go
of
down if
residents.
you
That's
build
true.
one.
yeah.
Well, but
You build a 250 unit apartment complex, I can tell you, as a retired fireman, they're gonna be going to that all the time.
Have you ever gone in, over here, what's, name the apartments on the other side of town center? That's our crime center.
Yeah.
yeah.
What street is that?
It's,
Um,
You read the paper and.
Well, there's a lot of burglaries happening.
Okay, going down, continuing to go down the list here.
So, Don, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems to me, looking at these 14 areas, air quality, it's
Right, that's number one.
water supply,
Yep.
Right.
traffic.
Traffic,
and,
circulation.
circulation patterns.
Yep.
You know, I don't think there's much on recreation. I mean, what they're offering is, but I mean, I'm not sure
Right.
that you're gonna get a lot of points out of those ones. I mean, those seem to be the ones where
Those are
you've
the
got the
top
most,
three, and they
the
always
top
are.
three. And maybe those are, you know, out of those top three, that becomes our top 10. You know, specific things within those areas. I mean, this other stuff is nice, and if we have time, but I think with limited resources, limited time, that's where we should focus our attention.
I agree.
And if we, if we divide it up into 3 groups
Yep.
of 2 or 3
Well, we're
people
down to,
each, and then set a meeting for next week, and let's go with what we got and see where we're at.
So who wants to work on air quality stuff? Does anybody feel like they have a particular interest in that?
Well, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I'm a quick study,
Okay.
but, you know,
You're gonna have to read the air quality section of the
Exactly.
draft EIR.
Right.
Probably have to read it several times.
well,
And
I'm
then-
willing to take any one section. Unfortunately, I have, if somebody could get me just that section, a copy of that section, I'm willing to read the whole thing. I happen to be going away and I'm gonna be by myself for 5 days, so I'm willing to read the whole thing and analyze it. My
I think you-
background is, I was paralegal, you know, not that is, but, and real estate for 35 years, so reading contracts, understanding them, looking out, I'm willing to read the whole thing, but I said, I'm not sure I can get a copy by, I leave Saturday night,
I've got
so-
stuff downloaded, I can email it to you.
What
Could
I
you-
might have to break it down in a couple of packages, but
I would suggest
if you're only gonna look
everybody,
at air quality,
I would suggest everybody read the executive summary. It's just a few
Okay.
pages.
right?
And then from there, go to your sections. And honestly, if you can get, you know, like you said, one person on air quality, one person on hazardous,
And don't assume you guys are it. I mean,
try to recruit some more
Recruit
people.
people.
Well, yeah, yeah.
get out there. If
But-
everybody brought in one or two.
I'll do air
people,
quality.
I was trying to remember who worked air
Okay.
quality with the TGPA ZOU. Did anybody really look at that in any?
Not in
Okay.
great
I
detail.
ended up writing some stuff on it. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
You know,
The
it's-
toughest thing about air quality that I've found is that we have this natural inversion process and stuff, and they always want to say it's significant but unavoidable. It's where you live, it's the geography.
Right.
And a lot of the pollution we have to deal with comes out of the Sacramento Valley. So I mean, yeah, I can see where that's, you can't mitigate that without eliminating Sacramento Valley. So you're kind of stuck with that high premise, and then everything else
Have they
becomes a.
analyzed the impact of 10,000 homes in South Folsom blowing mortar traffic our way? You know,
Right, so it
right.
worsens
Right,
the
we'll
already
work on
bad
air-
condition.
I'll put on air quality.
Okay, so
Okay.
two for air quality, one for housing.
All right, so Tim and
Shirley.
Shirley, okay.
All right, air quality.
And I'm doing traffic and circulation already.
Or so
Okay.
John and who else? Or someone else gonna join John?
I can work with Don to a certain extent. You want to get involved with that?
Which one?
Traffic and circulation.
I'll mail my comments on.
Yeah, send those to us. So,
Lenny, did you
Did we
wanna get
narrow
in
it down
on?
to 3 big items?
yes.
Water's next.
Water and supply, air quality, and traffic and circulation.
I have my questions, I just wanna know how to write them, so
So
somebody
Okay.
listens and does
if you wanna
something.
do your own thing, then put
Get
them
your
in the right
questions written
form.
down, we'll have a follow-up meeting, get together, and we'll go through how
Because
to word
your,
that
a
stuff.
lot of your questions seem to be like the more overall scope and the whole things rather than specific ones, and that's
You gotta
fine,
get
because we need,
specific,
we
or it
need
doesn't
those,
mean anything.
we need those big ones. No, we need the big quality issue ones, specific ones on the big issues that you can address.
Like the fire department that you mentioned for the apartments and things like that, that would be your area of
Yeah,
expertise.
it's like, I don't know, I mean, what does the fire department think about gated communities? I mean, obviously it slows down,
There's no problem.
there isn't.
Because
Okay,
they have a special.
So let's finish this up and then let's talk about it, get together after this. So
Project
air
number-
quality, we got that covered. Jim's gonna work with me on the traffic and circulation. I know
Water.
APAC's gonna work on that as well. So water supply, who's willing to work water?
We need to get someone from EIR.
Maybe you could, go interview Alan Day or Greg Prada.
Great product's pretty, he's full of fire. Maybe we can get into it.
Who was the one at our Measure E meeting, he's basically comment, was that product that said, we got
That was
more
one.
water than we can use now, of course.
So what if we contacted Charlotte and asked her if she would work with Alan to do that part of it? She wanted to be involved with some of this stuff. It seems like she's got the direct resource right there.
Right.
She works with Alan all the time. She ought to be able to help us with that part of it.
So that's water.
That's the
you're
water
gonna
one.
check
And
see.
anybody else that wants to help, but we can ask Charlotte to look at that.
And John, I think you need to add one more to the list, which is project alternatives.
Yeah,
That's a.
right. You're right. That's the higher level.
John, when do you think we should have our pieces of paper filled out and back to the county? I mean, are we talking January?
You're talking
early
January, because you're talking about the holiday period to try to organize and get this stuff going in the first round, and that's difficult for everybody.
And when will we
So-
get your slides?
I can mail them tomorrow. Was everybody on that CC list? Jim?
Everybody,
Yeah, I was on it,
Okay.
yeah, that'd be great. And I can go to the county and pick up,
Email address, there's a piece of paper there you can write
copies of this thing.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
So Marilee, what do you want to work on?
I'm working on, hazards and hazardous
Hazards
materials.
and hazardous materials, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
You can get Charlotte and Alan Day on board, I'll work with them.
Okay. Good, Lenny. I can give Charlotte a call.
She calls me every other day. She had something going on. She's in the party mode, man, she's out for summer.
All right.
I can't do it tomorrow.
So, given the fact we've got at least 2 people identified to work on each of these 4 subsets, then the project alternatives, I think we all need to look at what's a constructive way to do that. So we'll do that as a large group.
Yeah.
So the question is, when would we be prepared to get back together and start sharing information in terms of what we got, and are we going the right direction? And the question is, do we try to do that before Christmas, or do we wait till after Christmas?
Well, I'm just gonna start right now.
Well, we can all start individually. When do we get back together as a group?
Why don't we can someone pulse us, but give us a week, we should know by a week, how long, or what do you
I
think?
think we should meet before Christmas sometime, unfortunately, and, the first week of January, just twice in case we get overwhelmed.
Well, the other thing you need to decide is if you're gonna, contact an attorney.
All right, we need to talk about that too.
Tom or otherwise.
How about 2 weeks from today?
Well, we got 2
17th?
attorneys involved, and then we.
Oh, I know, but,
So is a week from today,
I would say 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today? that could-
17th, unless that's, that's,
That's
8 days
Charlotte's
before
part-
Christmas.
That's Charlotte's party, just to let you know this, some of us have been invited to that.
Well, how about that
So
week?
she's not gonna be
Let's-
here.
What if we did it the 16th?
I'm good for the 16th.
Fine.
I can't the 16th, I can the 17th, I can the 15th, you're meeting at night, right?
Yeah. So the 15th is a Tuesday, right?
15th is a Tuesday,
Is that the second Tuesday of the month?
Yep.
is the 17th.
What's the
15th
third?
or 17th.
Because it's the 15th.
Oh, okay.
So it's gonna be the 3rd.
You figured it out?
16th is Wednesday,
Yeah, we're talking the 15th.
15th is Tuesday.
15th
Tuesday the 15th. Does that work for everybody?
works for me.
That's 12 days from now. All right, so I will see if I can't get a room down here for Tuesday, same time, kind of timeframe, 6:30, right?
He's
15th.
gonna get a hold of Charlotte for Alan Day.
I will.
We might be better working with great product. He's very.
I responded to her email. I'll get a hold of Charlotte.
So 6:30 again.
6:30 again, and I'll let you know which of the rooms it's gonna be, but we'll probably try to get one of the smaller rooms. On a Tuesday night, we'll probably get the smaller game room over here, which is a little bit easier to access and make use of, so we'll see if we can't get that. But we'll have a room down here for sure.
And, Mary Lee is gonna get me a copy, a whole copy tomorrow at the county. She's gonna go out, so you
Does
don't need
anyone
to
else
email me.
Okay, you got it then. Very
How much
good.
is it, do you know?
I just, whatever it is,
Just,
I'll pay for it.
We can, give me your email, I'll email you a
I
PDF.
know, but it's easier for, I'm a hard,
read.
You like hard copies?
I like the copy,
So do I.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
because
I do
going
and I
back and
don't.
forth is
When
well-
you're trying to find stuff, that
Yeah,
search
I'm just
mechanism.
used to working that way. I mean,
Just the
so
fact that it's got 600
research.
pages.
Okay, so you're covered, because Marley's gonna pick up a
Mary
copy
Lee's
for
gonna
you, so.
pick
Does
very
anyone
good.
else want one?
It's
No,
just a lot of
I'll-
copy.
Probably do that.
Yeah.
I'll probably get one of
It's
those.
just
I'll
easier
download it.
for me.
I'll
Yeah.
email you.
I mean, I can do it with this, but
I can do it, but
Email it
it's
to
just
us.
easier.
15 pages of definitions, I just want to just mark the definition, and then when I get it in the thing, just look at it, not,
Exactly, yeah, it's just
I
better
can
for
do
me.
it quicker.
Okay.
I'm old school.
Yeah, I have to
tabs
have, yeah, and that's
There's
exactly.
nothing to replace.
So I'm gonna try to get our APAC subcommittee involved at that point as well.
It's all small.
Kathy Brevos was supposed
Yeah,
to
mine
be
is
here,
all
she's been going through some health issues. Jeff Haberman, he's kind of tried hard to get a hold of, so now that we've gone through the training, we're gonna start talking about the details, and see if they can't join us on
I was just thinking, we
15th.
might have a lot of
All I need
resources
is,
in,
but
Download it.
just a small thing.
weren't there
Yeah,
like
that's-
John
I'll just do
Marino and
But
There
I'll-
was
there was like
I'll-
a dozen names that I saw tossed around
Just so
online that I thought would be
I
interesting.
saw John signed up for this year, would he show up?
No.
But-
Yeah.
John Marino.
People are falling off, I don't know if it's the holidays, I don't know, but
I
aren't you
think that's
seeing
part
that
of
too?
it.
Yeah.
It's really just a core.
Call me
Oh, good,
tomorrow.
good, yeah, good.
This is hard work. This isn't the thing you come in and make a few comments and then
Yeah,
leave
this is.
politely. This
No,
is
yeah.
the hard roll up your sleeves, dig down and get into the details, so.
Well, I mean, are we collectively gonna put in
I'll give you,
our
right?
thoughts into one document, and we're gonna present that as
I can, sure.
a collective
That's,
effort, or as a
that's
group
what I
effort?
would recommend as a group effort, but then
Okay.
as individuals, we may want to submit separate things as individuals too, because it has a double impact.
That was my question, like, when me and my wife do this, we always just did it together. Is it better to have two of these get sent into the county because of paperwork?
The more, the better. But if
Yeah.
they're identical, it doesn't help.
No, it's gotta be different questions.
Yeah.
Out of 10 questions, she does 5, I do 5.
Yeah.
Or maybe you contribute to this group, and then your wife does her own,
You have my email.
you know, whatever. We
Said
can-
last time we didn't,
Shirley Sykes.
we didn't know how to phrase the
Yeah.
questions, analyze, you know, all that.
Right.
So if you're gonna hire an attorney like Tom, you probably wanna do a group submittal, you come up with a name or something for your group, whatever it is, doesn't have to be registered to any entity.
Well, on the 15th, we need to have that discussion as to where does the money come from to bring an attorney on, and if we can figure out how to make that happen, then we can contact Tom and see if he can join us in January and get going at that point.
It sort of makes sense to me that you would use the Parks Not Parker group that's already formed.
I was wondering about that.
I mean, that's,
Can we do
I'm really
that?
gonna close Park Park.
Yeah, it's been this-
in the next,
yeah.
It's gone at the end of this month. It's
Because
gone
the
by
filing
end of this
requirements
month.
and everything else when you're running a
It's
campaign.
entirely different,
Oh, it's a
it's
campaign.
entirely
It's different issues, isn't it?
It's an election campaign,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, so it's
you
confusing.
could close out
You
the,
can,
the financials, but keep the website and the group and.
I think the
Well,
website's been pretty much,
you would have to get rid of all of.
I kind of don't like the idea of the Parks,
you?
Parks versus, not Parker. I kind of think that has
That's
some
over with.
connotations, and it's
Goodbye.
better, not
Better
as professional as I think our opposition should be. It's not just against him, and you know, let's be more professional than that.
Okay.
And no offense to what you guys did, you
No,
did the right
no,
thing.
that's
problem.
okay.
Well,
No problem.
I guess the other question is, do you want to have the other group from the county come to the meeting on the 15th and share with you their ideas on some of this stuff and what's going on with the lawsuit they have? Because, and that's against the town center apartments.
I think
Can't-
that would
Sensible communities for, I'm trying to think what the name of it is, sensible,
Development in El Dorado Hills.
sensible development, no,
Citizens for Sensible Development.
Citizens
Alright.
for, that's what it is, yeah. So we could invite them to get involved. They have a different attorney, by the way.
Mhm.
I don't remember her name.
Marshburn.
Marcia. Between her and Tom, I'm gonna say Tom has probably more experience with this, but she also offered a very affordable rate for their effort, at least at the front end, so
Yeah, you know what?
that's two sources you could go
It's
through.
worth talking to.
I mean, I kind of, I think on this first one, let's just get our own thoughts together.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe the
I
meeting,
wanna get these questions.
Yeah,
Too much
filled out. That's
dialogue
the
in
the
bottom
meeting,
line.
Well,
the meeting in
we can
early
put an attorney
January,
after
the
we
first
submit
week
the
of
question.
January, January 3rd,
Well,
4th,
I mean,
whatever,
ideally-
then let's invite
But
someone from that group.
let me throw this
All
out.
right.
Sure.
Some attorneys, I know Tom is hesitant to get involved in an effort unless he's been involved fairly early on.
Right.
Oh, so
Now,
get started.
He may feel okay because we helped, he trained us and we helped train you guys, but I would at least call him, talk
Oh,
to him
sure,
for
I
a few
want
minutes.
it for me.
He's a friendly guy, talk to him, see, what the pluses and minuses are. I think getting to this
Should we
point,
invite him to the meeting on the 15th?
Well, why doesn't a small group of us go and talk to him, interview him, see what would happen and then report back?
His office is down in Amador County,
Yeah.
isn't it? So,
How about that?
Actually, I need to call him because I gave him my card so that I would help pro bono, and that's what I actually want to get him, and I don't know if he's into training me to do because, well, one of the things, just the filing fees alone will cost you over $1,000
right,
to
Okay.
file a lawsuit. I mean, that's just a fee,
Sure.
that's a county collecting, I mean, that right there is an expense.
So how are we gonna raise it?
Writing, he's already got the stuff
We're gonna
on his computer, and I know he won't have any problem sharing
Okay,
his,
so you're the
videos.
contact
So
with
I'm gonna-
Tom,
I'm gonna-
reach out to
I'm gonna call
him, see if you can meet with him. If you
Right.
want to invite some of us to join you, we can do that certainly, whatever. But you figure out what works for Tom and then ask for help if you want people to go with you.
Okay, and then.
Then
did
bring
you
the
have
results
any
back to the meeting on the
suggestions
15th.
to raise it?
So,
Just ask
John,
everybody?
you're saying you want
we,
a group comment and then each of us to do individual ones on whatever we're interested in, correct?
Correct. And that's, your letterhead from your residence address, right, gets submitted to the county. So, and you can take the same list that the group comes up with, but I think it has more impact if it's